This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and now for something fun, right? It looks like a phone. Okay, it's a phone, a tall, skinny phone, but it does the Galaxy Fold thing. Look at that. So, 7.85-inch inner display folding phone made by a company called Tecno, T-E-C-N-O, missing the H in Tecno, and this is called the Phantom V Fold. Unsurprising name. 6.42-inch outer display, and it's $1,100, which is a lot less expensive than around $1,800 for a Samsung Galaxy Fold 4. It's good to see competition. There isn't much, so we're going to look at it now. So clearly Tecno is not a household name in the United States, but apparently they sell quite a few phones in Africa, in Southeast Asia, in Eastern Europe, and their parent company in Shenzhen, China, was founded in 2006, and I believe they have $1 billion a year in yearly revenue, so they're not a tiny company. And this feels like actually a quality product, which is nice to see. I mean, I don't think anybody's making budget cheeseball folding phones at this point because the technology is still expensive and high-end. So it's not like you look at it and go, oh my God, what a piece of junk compared to a Samsung Galaxy Z Fold, all right? So inside we have a MediaTek Dimensity 9000 Plus processor. Now that used to be, you hear MediaTek processor, you'd say, oh, low-end phone, slow. And in fact, MediaTek were the ones that arranged for us to receive this loaner for a review, not the company that makes it, Tecno, because they wanted us to find out that, geez, they actually make good processors now. And in fact, this isn't their latest processor, that would be the 9200, but this one is comparable to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, and it performs as well in benchmarks and in real-world use and in playing games and all that sort of thing. So it's a good performer. I have no problems with it being inside. Configuration is pretty high-end too. You get 12 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage. And obviously you've got those fancy triple cameras on the back with that nice big round lens surround that makes it look like serious photog. We'll talk about the cameras. Don't get too excited about the cameras. So OLED displays, as you would expect, LTPO, and the outside 6.42-inch Full HD Plus. It's a little bit wider than the Samsung Galaxy Fold 4. So, I mean, not so much that you're like, oh, it's a game-changing experience, because some of us wanted, Oppo-style, really wider outer screens and all that sort of thing, but every little bit helps. Now, in our comparisons, we're comparing with the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3, because that's what I happen to own. I don't own the 4, and we had to return our review loaner to Samsung long ago. But you get the idea. The Fold 3 is slightly narrower than the Fold 4, but pretty comparable. In fact, this one pretty much looks like a clone of it. The clamshell hinge is a similar looking design, but it closes a little tighter, so there's a little bit less of a V-shaped gap. And the power button and the volume buttons and the fingerprint scanner embedded in the power button are just about the exact same location as a Galaxy Fold. USB-C port on the bottom. Yep, same different thing. So here we have dual SIM, and it is a 5G phone, though technically it's not going to be sold in America. I'm sure you can find it on importers and all that sort of thing if you are into it. I tested it with AT&T and T-Mobile, and it has enough bands that you should be able to get service on the 3 major carriers, and maybe even some of the smaller ones who are often hanging off of the larger carrier networks anyway. So that's nice, right? You're not giving up on 5G necessarily either by going with this phone. So this is sounding awfully good if you want to trust a nascent technology like folding phones to a company you've never heard of that isn't sold directly in the United States. Granted, I know that's a hard sell, but for some of you who are watching this who are in regions where it will be sold, even more useful. But still, it's built well enough that I'm not too worried about it. However, what are you losing by saving $700 versus buying the Galaxy version of this? Well, you get 2 OS upgrades throughout its lifetime versus like 4 from Samsung. And security updates, we'll have to see. I really don't know. They don't say much about that. The hinge on this, whereas the Fold can be put in a variety of positions, you want it like this, 90 degree, that sort of thing, you can do that. With this one, pretty much it's open or closed. You can try to set it somewhere in the middle, but it'll eventually open itself up. There's no IP water or dust resistance rating on this one, and there is no wireless charging. Good news is it supports 45-watt fast wired charging, and you actually get a charger in the box. Huzzah. You actually get a little carbon fiber style case with a kickstand for the back side of it too in the box, which is nice instead of having to pay for some such thing. They didn't try to cover the front display because, let's face it, those hardly ever really last very long, like the ones that are made for the Galaxy Fold. For the inner display, it's shot ultra thin glass, which is a very good brand of ultra thin glass display. Yes, it has that little bit of a plasticky look. There is still a plasticky kind of layer to protect it on top of it. And both displays supposedly support 1100 nits of peak brightness, like when you're outdoors. Experientially using this outdoors in the sunlight, it seems a little less bright than the Galaxy Z Fold 3 and 4, but not dim or anything like that. The outer glass is Gorilla Glass Victus. And it's curved. It's a little bit of a curved display instead of being a flat display, which I'm okay. It's not a very drastic curve. It's comfortable enough to hold. So the thing to note about the inner display is it's OLED. It's colorful. It looks nice. In fact, switching between this and the Galaxy Z Fold, I really don't think, wow, I've switched phones. It's really a very similar experience, but there's less of a crease on this one, which is actually nice. I know that's one of the things people really disliked about the folding phones so far in the market from Samsung is a pretty deep trough or crease. I mean, there's a bit of one there, and it is more of a subtle trough. There's no hard, noticeable crease that you really feel with your finger quite as much. A little bit of one, but that's kind of nice, which is interesting because it used to be the technology kind of, well, didn't allow for that. As to how it holds up without having the more of an area to crease and all that sort of thing, I don't know. We'll just have to find out, won't we? The fingerprint scanner on this is very quick. In fact, a little quicker than the Galaxy Z Fold 4. And the 2D facial scanner is lightning. It's fast. It's shockingly fast. And I'm not sure how picky it is because it's being so fast. You know, 2D facial unlocking is not the most secure thing. So if you work for the CIA, you're not using that anyway, are you? Now, another thing to talk about is Android 13, which is a good thing, current generation Android and their HiOS overlay, okay? Just like Samsung has their One UI, they have HiOS. So if you think Samsung throws in extra apps like their own version of a photo gallery and so on, well, boy, did they do that here too. And because we're not used to seeing these things, they seem a little funnier or stranger. Like there's an app called Carl Care. Who's Carl? Why is he caring for my phone? So they have their own gallery app and all these other things which, you know, they always detract from the experience, and they're just going to look a little alien unless you've been a customer of Techno in the past and are used to these apps. It's normally Android, though. You have the Google Play Store and all that sort of thing, so it's not like they put some custom OS on board. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt, remove what you don't like, hide the rest. You know the deal with these things on Android. So it's sounding pretty good, and it has been nice. Aluminum frame on the phone, feels good. A little heavy, 299 grams, just slightly heavier than the Galaxy Z Fold, but all in all, nice looking. I like the faux leather bag. With the black one, they say it's leather. It doesn't feel like it. It feels like a textile. And there's also a white option, which is, they say, silicone material of some kind. Looks really cool, less slippery, all that sort of thing. Liking it so far. The other thing is the cameras. If you really care about photography, and you know, so far with folding phones, you don't get the best cameras available, right? You buy a Galaxy Z Fold 4, you're not getting the S23 Ultra cameras, are you? Well, these are pretty lame. Software updates might help these, and possibly they will issue them, but on paper they look great, and you can see the specs on screen for the cameras. But I mean, you got two 50 megapixel cameras there with fast apertures, both the telephoto, which is 2x, and the main camera, and a 13 megapixel ultra wide camera, and pretty high resolution for your selfie cameras as well. Not really very good. Even the main camera is, it looks like a 5-year-old good phone camera did. You know what I mean? Sometimes things look a little blocky. Food pictures look glassy and glossy and slightly weird. And it has AI photography like every camera, so it tries to recognize what you're taking. And I took some night photos, and it went into night mode automatically, which is great, which didn't really reduce the noise that much in the photographs. Honestly, if you can see, if you're using a bigger screen to look at these sample photos, there's plenty of noise in the night shots. If you try to zoom, forget about it. I zoomed in to catch that huge moon over the hill, and what is that? It looks like an explosion on the hill, right? But not really very good, and also inconsistent, not just between the cameras, which we sometimes see, you know, slightly different color balance and stuff like that, but even with the same camera, from one moment you can get a slightly washed out look, and then one that's overly contrasty. And that AI thing that I was talking about, so sometimes it would be good, like it would do HDR when I took the white BMW in a dark night sky. That was the right move, and that was one of the best shots it took, the one in portrait orientation. But then I went to take a picture of my cat, a perfectly normal looking cat, and I looked at the cat, looked at the cat's face, the cat's ear, and it said food. Now, is that a grotesque joke? Maybe it is. I don't know. So you're not buying this from the cameras. It does take images. It does have 3 cameras. That's as far as I'll go with that. Battery life, on the other hand, is pretty good. 5,000 milliamp battery, and that's a good capacity. It's a big phone. You should be able to do that. Fast wired charging. That's nice. And it lasted for me longer than the Galaxy Z Fold 3 and 4. Granted, the 4 is better than the Z Fold 3, but I had no problems getting like 6 hours of screen on time with normal use. So that's nice. That's a good thing. That's a core experience that we would like to be able to count on. So that's the Tecno Phantom V Fold with a MediaTek processor inside that actually performs well, and a very nice folding phone in terms of build quality, in terms of display quality, and performance overall. Other than the cameras on this, it actually is pretty good. So, like I said, in the United States, maybe you're not going to be buying this one, right? But this is a harbinger of things to come. We need to see somebody other than big names like Samsung making these and bringing the cost down and bringing a little bit of innovation in terms of design, less slippery, more attractive backs, maybe even wider outer displays becoming more common soon, we hope. Anyway, I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.